Morning. How's everything?
I'm very happy to get started with English. It is
Man, it has been a long time. It has been so long, but I am very, very happy to have you here, man.
yes. I
Very good.
I don't remember precisely when was the last time we shared a classroom. I think 2 years ago, maybe.
Probably, yeah? Probably. Yeah, I would say. I was gonna say 1 year, but probably was more, eh? Because time flies, and there has been a lot of changes through the system, the program that I have built. So
Okay, but
probably, yeah.
I was remembering only when we were on quick learning, but now,
No, no, no. You had some classes with me.
yes, and I think it was more than one semester. I
Exactly. Exactly. It was a couple of months, and we were having the B2 classes. We The only option that I had in that moment was B2 because I didn't have the advanced course ready.
yes.
Now it's been a long time, a long way, and now we have this program available. So let's see it.
Uh, that's great.
It's great, no? Yeah, it's evolution. That's a very nice thing. All right. Well, welcome, Luis. Let me check what's up with Vic. Now that we have him here, while the rest come, tell me about you, Vic. You now, yeah, I have seen you in a long time. I haven't seen you in a long time. What's up with you, man?
Yes, yes, teacher. Maybe I don't know, but it was a long time.
It was a long time, definitely. It has been very, very long. And you haven't seen my program. In this case, this is going to be like a complete new uh, new thing for you, right?
This is really new for me because I don't know nothing about your class, your system.
Sure, 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 sure. Well, expect something very different. This is not the classes that you have had on the previous school,
Yes.
and this is merely focused on a. We have a different approach. Conversation is also priority. Like this is the first priority we take, but also we are going to take a lot of focus on vocabulary.
Okay.
Uh-huh. On the classes that you had before, there was not a lot of practice on the vocabulary we had. Like you saw a list today, and tomorrow it was a different list, tomorrow was a different list, tomorrow was a different list, right? Here we're gonna take an approach on a very long list, but I'm gonna throw the list on the first week, right?
Okay.
So during the rest of the week, you are going to start like uh, recycling, recycling the same list through the week, which is better because now you are going to have more time to practice the same list of words, right? Which
Okay.
is pretty nice, exactly. It's going to be very, very interesting. And the videos that we are going to practice with are mini documentaries,
Okay.
news and stuff that we usually have on around the internet, but especially practicing with uh, with very native stuff. I mean, documentaries and videos dedicated to native speakers, not to Spanish speakers. So that's going to be the main thing, right?
Okay. It will be a great experience.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Now about you, you haven't done a test of level, right?
Maybe some with the last call that we have.
Yeah.
We have a little conversation.
Yes, and that's it. You didn't make like a TOEFL or a Cambridge assessment before. You didn't
Oh,
haven't done anything like that. Not at all.
no, I don't have a ton of that. It's
Okay, okay. Will you like to do one?
yes, that's my target. I want to make some of that exam.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, the objective of this class is to get at least 600 points on TOEFL PBT, which is equivalent to, let me give you the charts. TOEFL PBT, PBT conversion. Here it is. TOEFL IBT, which is 600, is equivalent right here. This is the one we are aiming for. A 600 in TOEFL PBT, which is paper-based exam, is equivalent to a 100 into the IBT scoring, right? This specific score is not, don't take it as a 100 of like the limit, because they have very different gradings and systems, TOEFL and the rest of the exams. There are different exams that exist to assess your overall level of English. The first ones that I am offering you, or the ones that I'm showing you, is IBT and PBT TOEFL, right? Then there is another one which exists that is TOEFL CBT. That one is especially for schools and institutions. And then we have IELTS and TOEIC, right? IELTS is the Cambridge one, which is for British English, and TOEIC is the one for professional English. Okay, any one of these gives you the total admission in any place you want to go. If you want to travel, if you want to change your residency, if you want to work in an American environment, the exams that they ask for are these ones. Okay, so if you get an advanced level of conversation, you will naturally get one of these scores. The ideal for an advanced speaker is from 600 and up, okay, which is all over here. From 600 and up is the level that you should have. And this is equivalent to a B2 level in the standard system, B2, B2 plus, C1. Okay, the C2 is also possible if you are doing everything in English every single day, which in a Mexican environment of work is normally not the case. No, that's which takes me to my next question. Do you speak English in your office, Victor?
And not really, only sometimes some meetings with some investors, but it's a Mexican enterprise, so all the time we talk in Spanish.
Okay, I remember that definitely. Well, that's definitely not going to be
I want to practice more because I want to have more vocabulary and
exactly.
more good stuff. Yeah.
Definitely. By the level of English that you understand and the level of English that you speak, you may be on a B2, around a B2, probably sometimes reaching the B1, B2 level, right? So we're gonna push you up to the B1, no, sorry, the B2 section and the C1. level.
Okay.
All right. So
Yes.
welcome, Vic. Very, very nice. Welcome to the class. Now let's go through Sophie. Good morning, Sophie. I introduce you to your new partners, girl.
Okay. I am Sophia, and my main purpose in this class is up my English level because I have to pass the TOEFL exam in my university. I have the opportunity to get a double title in my career. In this
Double
case, it's
degree.
an American, or how do you say that? Like a título
Double degree.
degree. Okay, to get that double degree. In this case, it's an American one. So I am here because I am interested about that, but I also want to speak and understand English in a better way. I mean, maybe more in a native way. I would like to speak with native people and understand and have a good conversation with them. So I don't know that that's my purpose, and nice to meet you guys.
Very good, girl. Very good. Nice to meet you too. And yes, she's gonna be joining us. It's a very important thing to have the double degree. This section is something that we have been fighting the last couple of months, right? Because we started with B2 training with Sophie, and now she's coming to the advanced section. And you are familiar with the system. Now you are familiar with the vocabulary lists. You are familiar with the lessons, with the practice. So I expect a lot of good results from you. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Very good, Sophie. Very, very good. So I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna show you, what I have ready for you. Okay? The first thing that we are going to talk about is what are the objectives, what is the material that we are going to practice with, and the first video that we are going to check, right? Every week we are going to work with one video, one mini documentary. Okay? And this mini documentary will be filled with words that you are probably familiar with. Yes, all these words are going to be marked with their corresponding word family, right? In this moment, the abilities that you have go from B2 and up. And you should, or the only way to understand what is your English level today is by the level of words. The level of words that you may have already ranks from A1 words to B2 words. How do we know this? Do you remember? Does anyone know how?
Which was the question? Sorry.
One more time. The level of words that you may have already ranks from A1 to B2. How do you know what words you master, or what level of words do you master?
So, which word corresponds for each letter?
Right, right. How do you know that?
An interesting question.
That's a very interesting question, right? Let me show you the Oxford Learner's Dictionary. We are going to work with the Oxford Learner's Dictionary that precisely tells you what level of word you are studying, right? It's very, very common that in this level, all the new words for you are going to be marked with a B2 key or a C1 key, a C2 key. Okay? The idea is that in this moment you are going to probably not know a lot of words that are marked with a C1 key and a C2 key. But all the new words are going to be marked with this symbol. Every time I teach you a word, I'm going to teach you what level of word is this, of course with the definition and the pronunciation, right? So that's the way we get this word. Tell me, Luis.
So, so Alderali is not given, but for how proficient you are with the vocabulary you have, is given by the classification of the words
Right, exactly. Because
you
one
are
thing is
using.
proficiency and the other thing is the level. Let's say that they are very hand in hand, they go together hand in hand. The proficiency level that you will get in the language is the amount of words that you dominate by catalog, by B2, C1, and C2.
Okay.
Technically, proficiency goes together with the level of words that you know. Right?
So
In
like,
that,
thinking that you are enhancing your level, but the set of words that you have is belong to B2. So if
precisely.
you are speaking faster, the level is the same at the end.
Yes, yes. And this is a very important point. Many people get or think that the important part is to speak fast, right? But what happens when we speak fast with very bad structures and basic vocabulary? Technically speaking, fast is not enough, right? The idea is I always suggest my students to slow down but use wider vocabulary and better structures. No?
Yes, that's better.
That's definitely the way you can reach a higher English level.
Yes, I agree.
Many of the words that you are going to see in B2, B1, C2, C1 are very similar to Spanish because they are formal expressions. Something that I have discovered through, or that I have noticed through the years of teaching, is that many words that look like Spanish are usually advanced word in English because English has no etymology similar to Spanish. So here you have, for example, the word absorb. That sounds very similar to a Spanish word, right? If you see the definition, you will see to take in a liquid, gas, or other substance from the surface or space around, like a sponge. And you say like, well, this word seems very easy, teacher. What's up with that? Why this is advanced? Well, many of the words that look like Spanish are considered advanced speech because they share etymologies with a very external history, which is in this case the Latin etymology. English, being a German etymology, well, are very distant one and another. So you're probably going to see words that are very similar to Spanish in this level, but sometimes other words that are completely different. For example, let's take the word, what would be a very, very good one? This is a great one. Fasten.
Fasten.
Who knows this word?
What word, sir?
This one over here.
Fasten.
Fasten.
Ah,
Fasten.
Yeah.
Teacher, can you remember what color is for the American pronunciation? It's the red one.
What? Yes, the red one is for American.
Fasten.
American and British.
Okay.
The one we are going to focus on is on the red one. So nobody knows what's fasten?
no, I don't know.
Okay, let me show you. Fasten is every time you're traveling on a plane, right? And the assistant, the flight assistant, tells you fasten your seatbelt. Which is the word of collocating the seatbelt and putting it in a tight mode in order not to move. You are going to be super safe if you fasten your seatbelt. You see? What do you fasten? You fasten your belt, you fasten a bag. If you are carrying a very heavy bag, you need to fasten it. You need to fasten also your shoelaces, you know? Words that are very different from Spanish too. You see? So in this particular level, I repeat, you're gonna see words that are very similar to Spanish because they are considered formal, and words that are very distant from what you know in Spanish. So you need to keep a very open mind whenever you read your vocabulary. Okay? Any question in this moment? Cool. So this is your way. What are the objectives? This course gets, number one, the ability to isolate information. What is to isolate information? You have a very big piece of information, a very massive piece of information, and you will know how to select pieces of information in order to understand. I understand this information, I don't understand this information, and how to ask questions about these pieces of information. That's isolating. Okay? Number two, discerning from formal and informal speech. This is very interesting because informal speech is usually considered C2 vocabulary, which is proficient. Vocabulary that you only understand if you are in a native environment. If you live in the United States, if you live in a British environment. And formal is more common for you in your case because you have formal speech in the documents that you read, in the conferences that you attend, in the meetings that you have at work. So you are very, very familiar with formal English, and now you need to be closing yourself into informal speech as well. And knowing the difference because you don't want to be informal at the office, right? So mastering the difference. 3, expanding vocabulary, obviously, going from B1 to C2. Another one, understanding jokes in English. You are proficient in a language if you understand jokes, if you understand comedy in English. Because there are a lot of cultural references, there are a lot of word play, and there is a lot of contextual meaning that you need to master because sometimes the words have very different meanings in the language. Another one, paraphrasing using your own words and words that you have to learn. One thing is to speak literally, the other thing is to paraphrase, right? You're going to do both in this course, okay? In order to teach you that, I'm going to use these different tools. The dictionary that I showed you, the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, right? We're going to use the Collins English Dictionary because the Collins English Dictionary has a lot of expressions and idiomatic expressions and phrasal verbs, etc. We're going to use a thesaurus. Who remembers what is a thesaurus? We saw it before. Do you remember, Luis? Oh my God. And you, Sophie, do you remember what is a thesaurus?
No.
No, really? Wow, okay. Well, thesaurus is a synonyms and antonyms dictionary. Okay, a thesaurus is a synonyms and antonyms dictionary. That's a name in an American school. In an American school, a thesaurus, everybody understands what is, you know? In English, in Spanish, we don't have a name for it. In English, there is thesaurus. Okay. Also, we're gonna use the Youglish website. It's a very good way to learn vocabulary. You go into the the Youglish website. You write the word that you are studying or the expression that you are studying, and you will get tons of examples with the word.
That we were able to absorb from those information flows. So that
talk. There's so much we can absorb.
Try to learn all the material you have to absorb it.
And there's the audience and they go and absorb it.
You see? This tool is fantastic for learning new vocabulary, to get the context of the word in very different ways, to understand the word in the ways we are talking about.
Rock, or fasten a padlock to a bridge. In this way,
It can also mean to fasten something, usually clothing or jewelry, for example.
The angel's eyes fasten on ours. Have we interrupted her in the...
You get the idea, right? This is youglish.com, great website, really, really great website, right? And of course, our system of symbology to understand pronunciation, right? Remember that if you pronounce correctly, you are going to understand correctly. By this time, you should be able to do that with no problem, right? But if you have some issues with pronunciation or you have some questions with pronunciation, you can consult the symbols, the system of symbols that exist underneath the word, right? Every time you have a difficult word, you are going to get their system of symbols underneath. Got it? Of course, we are going to work, as Sophie was saying, we're going to work with the American pronunciation, which is the red one.
Schedule.
And sometimes we're going to use British pronunciation just in case we need it for comprehension.
Schedule.
As you can see, this word changes from one to another. Got it? These are the tools that we are going to use. Now, something very important about this course is how to understand Very important words, very complex words. I want you to check the following slide. There we go. Very important information. In this slide, we're going to learn how to read vocabulary. I'm going to give you massive lists of vocabulary, okay? And these lists should have total domination on how you read these words, okay? I want you to look at this word. Here we have a cookie, right? Here we have a lock, and we have the word idiom. So let's start with this vocabulary. Victor, help me reading the word. What is this?
Idiom? I didn't understand what do you want?
Read the word.
Okay, idiom and also the definition.
Sorry, I cannot hear you. There's some microphone problems. One more time.
Yes, I read only the word and also the definition.
Definition, word definition, the full thing.
Use when you are comparing. 1 second, yeah. Use when you are comparing two different facts or two opposite ways of thinking about that situation.
Nice. What is the word again?
Idiom.
Idiom. No, the word idiom, no. The word is here. On one hand, but on the other. You see? It's an expression,
Yes, one,
a full expression.
One on one hand, but on the other hand?
Exactly. That's the word. Right?
Okay.
Now read it complete so you can understand it.
Yes, on one hand, but on the other hand, idiom used when you are comparing two different facts or two opposite ways of thinking about that situation.
That's right. So there you have it. But on one hand, you do this and this and this and that, but on the other, you do this and this and this and that. Usually you're talking about, you're contrasting two different situations, no? This is a very common expression in English, and in Spanish is not common. In Spanish is not hand, no? In Spanish is de un lado, o por un lado, right? Which is when we are thinking in English, we are going to try to translate the correct expression. We're going to say on one side, but that is incorrect. In English, we don't talk about one side and one another. We talk about one hand and the other, right?
Okay.
These are very...
The words that are in parentheses, but and have are implicit when we use the expression, right?
It's not implicit. It's that sometimes people use them. So you can say, on one hand, English is difficult. On the other, it's very important, right? But people can say, on one hand, English is difficult, but on the other, English is important. So the words in parentheses, let's say they are optional.
Okay, thank you.
That's a very, very good question. If they are in parentheses, it's because they are completely optional. Then after the word, you have the symbology, the symbol systems, right? And after the symbol systems, you have the level. In this case, it's a B2 idiomatic expression. All right? B2 means that the word corresponds to your current level. Okay? Make sure to pronounce the word correctly, right? And use it in a sentence. Every time you see a B1 or B2 level word, you are going to make an example. Okay? Now, C1 means that.
I didn't understand that but
Nice. Can you repeat, Victor? Because your
I
microphone.
didn't understand. Yes. I didn't understand the structure. Understood that it was more idiom than the definition of the idiom than it didn't have sense.
Yes, exactly. Yes, because you were for some reason you were ignoring the first part on one hand, but on the other hand, this is the word technically. Yes. And be careful because that happens a lot. If there is, let's say, in color, you are going to see the grammatical family, and the first thing that you see is the word. Always. Always.
I think that it was a title, so
Exactly.
I was so confused.
You were so confused. Yeah. No. This is the word. This is a vocabulary word. Okay. Very nice. Let's go to the next one. So the first is a word now. After the word you have the symbols, and after the symbols you have the level. After the level you have the family, the word family that we are going to talk about in a moment. Let's talk about levels. So B1 and B2, you should know them. Okay? C1 and C2 have very different applications. C1 means that the vocabulary in question is technical. Okay, every time you see a word that is from a specific area of knowledge, I'm going to collocate there. Okay, C1 is, for example, for lawyers, and the word law in the word for law and justice, we are going to have the word lawsuit. This is one example of a C1 word. It's a noun and it's from the area of law and justice. What is lawsuit? Help me, Sophie.
A claim or complaint against somebody that a person or an organization can make in court. Can make in court.
That's right. Are you familiar with the lawsuit? Do you know what is a lawsuit?
I think I have heard before,
Okay.
but I would love to use it. I need to have an
Precisely. Lawsuit. A claim or complaint against somebody that a person or organization. Google has filed a lawsuit against Apple because they have blocked Google's system in their phones.
Okay.
What is lawsuit in this case?
It's the thing or that. No, it's because it is a noun. The thing that Google has to get against Apple.
In legal terminology, right? In a court, like it's a paper, a document that says, you know what?
So can you repeat?
Right.
That against Apple of yeah, get a cheese or something like this.
Precisely. Precisely. That is a lawsuit, you see? And we are talking about very technical vocabulary. Now we are talking about companies, we're talking about law, we're talking about the court. These are very, very specific words for a very, very specific area of knowledge. This is a C1 word. Okay? So if C1 is technical, what is C2? Well, C2 means that the vocabulary is commonly used in casual conversations, informal situations, and very native settings. You see? Let me give you an example of a C2 vocabulary. Let me help you with a C2 proficient expression. Perfect. Let me show you the Collins Dictionary. This is an example of a C2 vocabulary. Help me with the definition, Luis. What is the word and what is the definition?
Is it pronounced as bitter?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
A bitter pill to swallow?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. A bitter pill to swallow.
A difficult or unpleasant situation that has to be accepted. This defeat was the most bitter pill to swallow.
Okay. What is bitter? What is swallow?
I think is a kind of presentation, for example, of a medicine.
Okay.
Is a little object that is taken with water.
A little, okay, that's pill.
That's pill.
That's pill. What is bitter?
No, I don't remember. I don't
Okay. Sophie and Victor, what is bitter? Help Luis.
Because like well, I understand that is bit like the little, but more the super. No, this is not superlative. It's
yeah, the comparative.
I don't remember the word.
The comparative. You mean the comparative, no?
Compare.
Well, kind of, because bit is a noun, so you cannot use comparatives with nouns. You see? So no, bitter as comparative doesn't exist. No, no, no. The word is bitter. Bitter is describing the pill. So what is bitter? The taste.
I understand that is like something that makes you shame.
It makes you shame.
Sense shamed.
Like what?
For example, my English level.
Oh. Okay. Well, that was a good example, but it's not that. Definitely not that. Bitter. Look at this. Bitter is the taste of, let's say, bitter is chili. No, no, no. In this case, they consider it chili, but let's talk about tastes that are very, very strong. For example, let's say, what is this? Green bitter gourd, something that you recognize. Oregano. It's a great example. Oregano, just oregano. Imagine you taste oregano. The taste is bitter. Cacao powder without sugar is super bitter. Black tea is super bitter. You see? Imagine you bite the skin of an orange. Only the skin, not the fruit. You take a very, very bitter taste. And of course, beer is bitter, especially the black or brown beer is very bitter. And precisely, cocoa without sugar. Do you understand what is bitter now?
Yes, for example, if you are a romantic moment, that's a sweet moment. If you doesn't approve, for example, mathematics, that's a bitter moment.
Exactly, that's correct.
Okay.
And there is a word that is called bittersweet. Bittersweet is a combination of both. For example, orange chicken. Orange chicken is bittersweet. Right? Now you understand. A bittersweet to what?
Swallow?
What is swallow?
To put in your tongue and
yes.
ingest.
In pronunciation?
Ingest.
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 Exactly. To ingest.
Okay.
Very good. Swallow is a synonym. Or no, it's like the process before, no, after you swallow. You take your pill and you swallow the pill.
Okay.
You see? A bitter pill to swallow is a pill that was not nice to taste. And this is an idiomatic expression, a metaphor for an unpleasant situation. Something that you need to accept, it doesn't matter what. So the C2 vocabulary is very metaphoric. Very metaphoric. And you need to understand first the vocabulary and second the metaphor. Welcome to Advanced Conversation. Any question? Any observation? Is this amazing? What do you think?
Teacher, the C2 vocabulary normally are going to be phrases, right? Not just words.
Sometimes they are words, Sometimes they are words, but it really depends on the context of what we're talking about. There are some C2, for example, there can be a B1 word that is super easy. In a metaphoric word, or in a metaphoric way, it becomes C2. You see?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you have, like, let's say...
Okay. Yeah, I remember that we checked. Sorry, because my internet is very bad. My connection is so bad. Sorry. I can hear you sometimes very well.
No problem. Continue. You remember what you said?
Um, I remember that sometimes in B2 classes we checked some words in that have a different meaning because they are more in a contextual situation. But in B2 they just have their meaning, only one meaning.
Totally,
And
yes.
we got confused about that.
Exactly, yes, because we can know the meaning of a word and we probably are familiar with the word. But what happens if we change the context of the word? Then you need to expand the knowledge. This word means this, but it can also mean this, but it can also mean that. And everything depends on the context that you are using it. That's a C2 vocabulary. Difficult or easy, guys? What do you think?
Easy. I mean, it's easy. We just to have to practice and yeah, and understand the basic words.
Definitely.
B2 and B1 vocabulary.
Precisely. If you understand the basic words, you will expand this into your knowledge for C1 and C2. Definitely. If we still have problems with B1 words, B2 words, then it's going to be very difficult to pass to the next part, the metaphor section. Because first we need to have a basic catalog of words already in our mind. So the B1 and B2 vocabulary should be basic for you. Okay? I'm going to pass you a list of B2 words in order to check that you explore the words and check what words you understand, which ones are not. You can like do examples and create research by in your free time in order to get familiar with B1 and B2 vocabulary if you have problems with them. Because in order to pass to the next level, you definitely need to have these two as basic, the basic for you. Okay, so let me find you a list of words and I'm going to pass this list to you later. That's pretty much it. That is pretty much it. Finally, in order to get this part together, is by understanding very complex words. Okay? Now I taught you how to use the dictionary. I taught you how to use the symbology. I taught you how to understand every word. Now I'm going to teach you how to use the thesaurus. Okay? You must use synonyms and antonyms in order to expand your vocabulary knowledge. Synonyms must always be the same grammar family, so you can associate them faster. Let's take a look at, for example, the words that we usually confuse. For example, let's study the difference between advice versus advice. At the first glance, the first thing that you can distinguish is one little change, the S. In the first word, we have a C. In the second word, we have an S, right? Automatically, the word may seem similar, but it is definitely not. So how do you know? How do you know the difference between these two? If we find the word advice with a C, we are going to get that the word family that it corresponds to is a noun. What is a noun? Who remembers? What is a noun? Anyone? I see that Victor opened the microphone, but I cannot hear
it is a
you.
word.
Yes, Sophie?
Yes, it is a word that names things.
Very good.
Places. Yeah.
It's a word that names,
Anything.
exactly.
It's a
It's a
word that
name of
names.
things. Very good. Very, very good. So in this case, advice, when it's a word that is a name, usually it is or either countable or uncountable, right? In this case, advice is uncountable. It's an opinion or suggestion. For example, expert advice, professional advice, medical advice. We are talking about recommendations, opinions, and suggestions. You see? A synonym for advice would be that. Opinions, suggestions, recommendations. Advice is a noun, and a noun are naming words. Therefore, opinion is a noun, suggestion is a noun, recommendation is a noun. Right? On the other side, we have advice with an S. Advice with an S is a verb. Yes or no? And advice with an S is the action of telling a person what to do. The action of telling a person what to do in a specific situation. So this is equivalent to recommend. If we go to thesaurus.com, we are going to get offer, recommendation, suggest, caution, warn. You see? So advise is a verb. This is similar to suggest, warn, caution, or offer, recommendation. This is how you can use synonyms at your favor. The first thing that you need to understand for synonyms and antonyms is what then? What is the first thing that you need to understand for synonyms and antonyms?
The context.
The context, no, you have it in front of you.
Grammar family.
Exactly, the grammar family of the word. Right? And this is the point where you can understand the difference between one word and another. In this case, knowing that advice with a C is a noun helped us understand that it's similar to other nouns. And the second one, understanding that advice is a verb, then it helped us understand that is similar to other verbs. Now they look very different, right? At the beginning, it was only the S and the C. After that, after this analysis, now they are very different from one another. And this also affects the way you use the word, because the noun is not used in the same position as the verb. Luis, give me an example with advice with a C.
With what, sorry?
Advice with a C.
Ah, okay. Teacher Armando told us that it's important to identify the grammar family of a word as an advice for synonyms identification.
Nice, very good. Now be careful. An advice. Advice is uncountable. You cannot count advice. So you cannot say
as advice.
As advice, exactly. Pronunciation, advice.
As advice for synonyms identification.
Excellent. That sounds good. Good. You see, this information is also relevant. If it's countable or uncountable, it's going to affect the usage.
Yes. In Spanish, it can be countable.
In Spanish, is countable, which is a very normal confusion. When we talk from Spanish to English, we need to consider also if it's countable or uncountable, because incorrect translations are very common.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very important observation. Next, Victor, give me an example with advice with an S.
Advice with this, and maybe the user manual advises us how to use the product.
Advise us how to use the product. Very good. Very nice. Excellent example, which is using advice as a verb.
Okay.
Very nice, guys. Well, this is precisely the usage of all the tools that we have for you. The Collins Dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, Symbology, Thesaurus, and examples all over English. In order to refresh your memory, tomorrow we are going to talk about the different word families that exist. We have adjectives, nouns, pronouns, verbs, conjunctions, prepositions, idioms and collocations, and adverbs. All this information, we are going to cover it tomorrow. It's too much information, so don't worry right now. But as you can see, something that I want you to observe in this moment is how I have them by color. Every single portion of information, or every time I teach you vocabulary, I am going to collocate the word family in a specific color. Adjectives are always going to be orange. Nouns and pronouns are used in blue. Connectors, I identify them with yellow, verbs in green, adverbs in purple, and chunks, parentheses, words that usually go together, are in brown. Okay? So every time you see a list of vocabulary, you are going to see it with their corresponding color. with me, so you can easily identify words families. Do you have any question?
No, from my side, thanks.
No what? Again?
No, from my side.
No, for your side. Fantastic. Very good. We are going to study that tomorrow, and in this moment, I'm going to give you your first homework. Your first homework is to watch a video, and this video is going to be the first one we are going to study during the week. Okay? This is a mini documentary about the history of the border between the United States and Mexico. Okay? In this picture, you can see that a little pile of rocks that is sitting there between what is the name of this building and a street. Well, this was the border between Mexico and the United States in 1890 something. Imagine how different was life in that time. That was the border. That was the division between Mexico and the United States, a pile of rocks. When today is a massive construction, right? Well, this is going to be your first video of the week. I'm going to send it to you via WhatsApp, and please study it for tomorrow. Okay? Do you have any question?
No.
Awesome, guys. Well, we finished for today. This is the week's topic. Very good, guys. Excellent job. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you, teacher. See you tomorrow.
Have a very good day. See you tomorrow, guys.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow, teacher. Thank you.
See you. You
Bye.
too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, man. See you later.